Are you feeling tired all the time, really struggling to focus, or just not feeling like yourself? You may be low in iron, and that can have a big impact on everything from your energy levels to your memory, your mood, and even your immune system.
Millions of people deal with iron deficiency without even realizing it, because many doctors will tell you that your iron level is normal when it really isn't.
And iron is particularly important for pregnant women because iron is essential for both your health and your baby's ability to grow and develop normally.
Iron deficiency is one of the most common health issues in the world. So today we will look at why iron is so important.
We're going to look into the top 10 roles that iron plays in the human body.
And I'll be back later for a fun fact.
This is a shocking fact that anemia caused 50 million years of healthy life that was lost due to disability just in 2019, according to the World Health Organization. And so this video is absolutely essential. And it's particularly essential if you're a pregnant mum, or if you have young children, or if you're someone that's struggling with focus and energy issues, because getting enough iron is absolutely key to feeling your best and supporting your family's brain health. If this is the first time that you're watching our videos, then welcome. And our purpose is to make it easier for you to take control of your own health, especially when you know that your body isn't working at its best. And each one of our videos is 100% based on scientific evidence, and it will provide you with simple steps that you can take for yourself that will improve your health. Let's start off by looking at some of the common signs of iron deficiency. And for women, heavy menstrual cycles can increase the risk of low iron. And so it is especially important to monitor your levels if you are experiencing any of these signs and symptoms. Everybody knows that tiredness can be caused by iron deficiency, but it can also cause you to feel dizzy or lightheaded. Having cold hands and feet is also a sign. And also if you get a whooshing or a pounding in your ears, that could be a sign of iron deficiency. If you find that you're short of breath, especially when you walk up the stairs, or if you have pale mucous membrane, so that's the thin skin that's on the inside of our mouth or the bottom of our eyelids. If we check the skin there, if it's very pale, then that could be a sign that you're low in iron. Also, pale skin under your fingernails or having brittle or spoon-shaped fingernails could also mean that you're low in iron. If you have rapid breathing and a fast heart rate, or difficulty concentrating and a poor memory. Also, craving for ice and clay, that is known as a sign of iron deficiency, and of course losing your hair. So if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, please do contact your doctor for personal advice, because these symptoms might be caused by other reasons. So do get checked out for everything. And this video really is just for educational purposes only, and it isn't medical advice for you. But do get tested, because being deficient in iron has very serious health consequences, which can occur well before your doctor will tell you that you're iron deficient. And unfortunately, iron deficiency is extremely common. Iron deficiency is the most common nutrient deficiency globally, and it affects about 2 billion people, especially women and children. And that's actually about a quarter of the world's population. That's a huge number of people whose health is suffering due to a lack of iron. But the good news is that iron deficiency is preventable and it's treatable. And for kids with developmental delays, making sure that they get enough iron can significantly improve their cognitive function and their behaviour. So let's find out what iron does in our bodies. And I've drawn a lot of this information from the amazing work of Dr. Greg Russell-Jones. And he works tirelessly analysing the scientific data to support children with autism and people with chronic fatigue. So first of all, let's have a look and see what iron does for us in our body. Why is it so important? The number one reason that we need iron is for oxygen transport in our body. And iron is known as the leading cause of a condition called anemia. And that's when your body just doesn't have enough red blood cells to carry the oxygen around our body. Globally, it's estimated that 40% of all children under 5 years old and nearly 40% of all pregnant women are affected by anemia, according to the World Health Organization. So what does that mean? Let's look again at that quote we saw earlier that said, anemia caused 50 million years of healthy life lost due to disability just in 2019. So it is really important because a quarter of the world's population is severely disabled by iron deficiency. And the evidence shows this is such a serious problem for so many young children because these young children and babies are just not getting the oxygen into their brains. And that can unfortunately cause permanent brain damage to their cells that control all sorts of functions, such as their ability to be able to listen and focus their eyes. It can affect their balance and their spatial awareness. So if your child is struggling with any type of learning delay, it really is essential to have their iron levels tested as soon as possible, because this is something that can be treated and it can make a massive difference to their life. This is because iron is essential for making the red part of our red blood cells, which is called hemoglobin. So iron is needed to make hemoglobin, and that is responsible for carrying the oxygen through our bodies in our blood. So it's a very easy standard blood test to measure your hemoglobin levels, and it's easy to get done by the doctor, and it's regularly used to find out if you have anemia. And in the second part of our video, part 2, we're going to go into the testing. But if we don't have enough iron to make the red blood cells that carry our oxygen, then your body just can't get enough oxygen into our muscles and our brain, and that causes so many of the disabling symptoms of iron deficiency. And as a result, your energy will plummet and your brain and your muscles just can't function properly. And so this will lead to you looking very pale and feeling very tired and experiencing difficulty breathing. It's important to know that there are other nutrient deficiencies that can also cause anemia, but iron is one of the main ones. So as we've just seen, iron supports the brain by ensuring that our brain receives good levels of oxygen that it needs. But it also does more than that, because figures show currently that iron deficiency is the biggest single nutrient cause of delayed development. And we saw the World Health Organization figure earlier that said globally it's estimated that 40% of all children under 5 are affected by anemia. So children and adults with low iron can have problems with their concentration and their memory. And it's also associated with irritability and apathy. There's absolutely no doubt at all that without enough iron, the brain really struggles to function at its best. And it has been known for some time that the level in the brains of autistic children is much lower than the normal levels. Another reason why iron is important in our brain is because iron helps form a protective coating that surrounds our nerve cells. And this coating is like the insulation that you see on electrical wires. And it's important because it speeds up the electrical impulses in our brain, which makes learning and memory much more efficient. So without this coating, which is known as the myelin sheath, our nerve impulses travel much more slowly through our body, and that can lead to issues with movement, attention, and even with our reflexes. So without enough iron to make the myelin sheath, our brain is slow to receive back the signals that it needs from our eyes and our ears, or from our fingers and our toes. And that can lead to learning difficulties, and also with problems with our vision and with our hearing and movement. So iron deficiency has also been associated with poorer language skills and lower IQs, and also with social and attention issues. Therefore, having enough iron is so absolutely important for young children, especially for children under 2, because their brains are still developing and they need the iron to prevent irreversible brain damage. The third reason we're going to look at is growth and development. So we'll find out more about why it's important for young children in our third reason, which is growth and development, because iron is absolutely crucial for our bodies to grow, and especially in children and during pregnancy, because as we've just seen, it does support the development of the brain, but it's also needed by our muscles and all our other tissues. And so for pregnant women, it is really crucial to get enough iron to support both their own health and the health of their baby. And this is particularly important during their last trimester, because this is when the baby's brain is loading up on iron in the last 3 months of its development in the womb. And it's the time when the baby's brain is the most sensitive to having good iron levels, because at that stage, the baby's brain and the baby's body are growing really rapidly and they require sufficient iron to develop properly. So this is especially important for certain cells in the brain that are involved in maintaining our balance and for fine motor control of our muscles, particularly our eye muscles. That enables us to be able to focus and to read and to be able to judge distance and our space around us. So a pregnant woman's iron levels can have a huge impact on her child's future health and development, because if the mum is iron deficient, it can cause serious risks to the baby. Risks like preterm labour or a low birth weight, or even a higher infant mortality rate. A mother being iron deficient can potentially cause learning difficulties, poor vision and hearing, and a lower IQ. So this is really important information. Now, the fourth job that iron plays a role in is in our immune system, because iron is crucial for us to have a strong and effective immune system. It just helps so many different types of our immune cells to grow and to function properly, so that our bodies can fight infections. And we've already looked at the importance of iron for making our red blood cells, but it's our white blood cells that are essential for keeping our bodies safe from infection. And iron is crucial for helping several different types of our white blood cells. In particular, iron helps with our neutrophils and natural killer cells, and they're our first line of defense against infection, because these white blood cells perform their job by capturing and destroying harmful bacteria or any fungal invaders that enter our system, and they attack the cells that are infected with viruses and those that might be infected with cancer or tumours. So iron is absolutely crucial for the growth and activity of other white blood cells as well, and these are known as T cells. And these are more specialised cells, and they're responsible for recognising and fighting specific invaders, such as a particular virus or a particular bacteria. So without enough iron, our immune system really just doesn't have enough of these protective white blood cells to defend our body. And that makes it much harder for us to fight off infections and illnesses. We'll look at number 5 now. The fifth reason why we need iron to support our health is for our hormone production, because iron is also really important in producing certain hormones, including those made by the thyroid gland, and that regulates our metabolism and our energy levels. So if you have known thyroid issues and you struggle to make thyroid hormones, it could be because your iron levels are low, because there's actually an enzyme in your thyroid that attaches the molecules of iodine to form the thyroid hormone T4. And this enzyme depends on you having good iron levels. So there are some people who are low in iron, and they can end up with having high TSH levels and low thyroid T4 levels, simply because their thyroid can't make the thyroid hormone because of low iron. But there's also other minerals that you need for your thyroid hormones, and I've made a video which I will link here, which delves really deep into the tests and other essential minerals that you need to support your thyroid health. So if you are having thyroid issues, please check that one out. Iron is also essential for producing neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin. Now, these are well known for regulating our mood and our brain function. And so they influence things like our ability to learn and to focus and to coordinate our movements smoothly. But these hormones also do a lot more than just affect our minds, because serotonin helps us to regulate our sleep-awake cycle. But most serotonin is actually found in our guts, and that's where it controls our bowel movements and our appetite. If you're low on iron, then you might have gut issues as well. So in short, iron is so important for so many hormones in our body that stabilise and regulate and balance many of our body's big systems. And without iron, our ability to produce these important chemicals just decreases. The number 6 reason why we need iron is for our muscle function, because when we have low iron levels, our muscles become tired very quickly and we feel weak, and we can get cramps and other issues like restless leg syndrome. We'll also have very low stamina and we'll have loose muscle tone, because iron is essential for maintaining our muscle tone. Iron is a component of a protein called myoglobin, and that's the red coloured stuff that oozes out when you cut into a juicy steak. That red juice is myoglobin. It's like a little oxygen storage tank inside your muscles, and it just holds on to a small reserve of oxygen that your muscles can use when they need it. And that is what allows you to do intense and endurance activities. So having enough myoglobin and good iron levels will make sure that our muscles get the oxygen that they need to work efficiently. And that will allow us to have more stamina and to recover from exercise quickly. And also remember the myelin sheath that we talked about earlier, which is the protective coating that surrounds our nerve cells. Well, this allows the signals from our brain to travel quickly to instruct our muscles to move. And so if that myelin is damaged, it can affect our coordination and it can make our muscles really sluggish. So maintaining good iron levels is absolutely crucial for us to use our muscles effectively. So here's something interesting. Iron deficiency is also linked to having low levels of vitamin D. Why would this be? Well, it's because vitamin D isn't active right away, and iron plays a role in converting vitamin D into its active form that our body needs. But it's a catch-22 situation, because vitamin D helps regulate a hormone that controls how much iron our body absorbs. So it's a two-way link. If you have low levels of vitamin D, it can worsen a person's iron deficiency. But if you're iron deficient, you might also struggle with activating vitamin D. And vitamin D is another really important vitamin that is crucial for your bone health as well as for your immune function. And I will be making a video on how amazing vitamin D is. So please do subscribe and click the little bell, and then you'll be notified when that video comes out. So if you've been trying to increase your iron levels, but they just aren't budging, then it would be worth checking your vitamin D levels. And you may have to work to correct your vitamin D and your iron together, because they work together. How are your iron levels related to how your body produces energy? Well, we know that we get our energy from the food that we eat, because we eat our carbohydrates, our fats and our proteins. And all those foods are broken down and they get converted into energy in our cells. And iron is needed to enable that process. So this is because iron is a key component in the part of the cell that is called the mitochondria. And that's where each cell makes the energy it needs to function. So if our iron levels drop, the amount of energy our cells can produce will drop rapidly. And that reduces our endurance and our strength. But there's a lot more that iron does inside our cells. So iron is essential for making and protecting our DNA. And DNA is the foundation for all of our cell growth. And that includes our muscles, our blood, and our organ cells. Because DNA is the blueprint that our cells use to reproduce themselves. So all the cells need iron to make the building blocks of DNA, and also to detect and to repair any DNA that has become damaged or injured. And so without enough iron, our cells just can't divide or heal or grow efficiently. And as a result, our muscles struggle to regenerate after exercise or if we've injured ourselves. And our red blood cell production is limited, and that results in us getting anemia. So this is why it's crucial that pregnant women and children have sufficient iron levels so that the children's bodies can develop and they can grow properly. So number 10, our skin, hair and nail health. As we've seen, iron deficiency may cause slow wound healing and hair loss and brittle nails. And these are all signs that our body is really struggling to renew our cells. And as we just discussed, iron supports the production of healthy cells, including that in your skin and your hair and your nails. So it's really clear that many of our body systems are very dependent on having good levels of iron. And so in the next video in this iron series, we're going to look at the tests that we can use to check that we do have good stores of iron. So what if you have some of these issues and you've been told by the doctor that they've done the tests and they've told you that your iron levels are normal? Well, we're going to really dive deep into your test results in the next video in this series on iron, because what the lab says is normal and what your body considers to be a healthy level of iron is absolutely not the same thing. We're going to look at the optimal ranges for your iron levels, and this is really important because the ranges that the doctors are using are used to diagnose a condition called anemia, which is a condition that happens when you have been deficient in iron for quite some time. But the World Health Organization says about that iron deficiency is already advanced by the time anemia is detected, and the deficiency has consequences even when no anemia is clinically apparent. So please do subscribe to this channel if you find this content helpful, because it makes a significant difference to me and to the number of people that YouTube recommends this video to. If you do like this video, please click the little bell and then you'll receive a notification when I release the video on what you can do to improve your iron levels. And then in the meantime, here's Elliot with his curious fact of the day.
Welcome back to another episode of My Curiosity Corner. Here's a strange bit of history you might not expect. Did you know that Napoleon Bonaparte was once attacked by a horde of rabbits? After signing a treaty in 1807, Napoleon's chief of staff organised a celebratory rabbit hunt. Hundreds, some say up to 3,000, rabbits were brought in and placed in cages around the field. But there was one problem. These weren't wild rabbits. They were tame, domesticated rabbits, and they didn't flee. Instead, the moment the cages were opened, the rabbits charged straight at Napoleon and his men. Not out of aggression, but because they thought the men approaching them were there to feed them. A witness said that rabbits swarmed over his boots, climbed up his coat, and kept coming even when he retreated to his carriage. The attack only stopped when they finally managed to drive them away. So yes, one of the most famous military leaders in history was once defeated by rabbits.